Hello everybody, Alicia Danielle here. I just want to say thank you for watching my first video, you guys. I made it like 8 months ago and had no idea that anybody watched it. It's like, ain't nobody gonna watch this little video, but y'all did, and you commented, and I appreciate it. To all the subscribers, I appreciate it, and I'm gonna keep making videos now since you guys like this. So today's video is gonna be about product saturation on Etsy and what can we do about it. And I'm pretty sure Jill, I probably should have wrote that down. I'm gonna do better, y'all. But ask the question if I could do a video about it. So I am. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. All right. Okay, so product saturation on Etsy. What are we gonna do about it? How are we gonna deal with it? It happens all the time. It's not a big deal. I promise you it's not. I dealt with the same thing when I started on Etsy, and I'm gonna give you some pointers at the end of this video to I'm gonna relate it to what I did with my products, but I'm pretty sure you can kind of see where I'm going, and then you can tailor it to your specific products, okay? But first of all, there are 3 things that you need to do ahead of time before you even start thinking about how to compete with somebody else. So first of all, you need to list your products with as much info in your descriptions as possible. So you're gonna go add sizes, you're gonna do length and shape, and you're gonna use descriptive words. So I was selling bonnets, so you would say like soft or smooth or stretch. If I was using a stretch type of material, something like that. You want to make it descriptive, because the thing that you have to realize about selling online, and it's not just Etsy, is that people can't touch your products. It's not like they can go in the store and see it and touch it, and so you have to give them as much information as possible, so that they can almost see, like they feel it, like they're right there with it. And then also, if you have different colors or different finishes, you want to make sure you add all that information in there. So I know on Etsy they give you options for each one of those things, where they can pick if you have a different color or something like that, but you still want to put it in your description. You still want to put it in there, put all that information in there. So make your description as vivid as possible, so that they feel like they actually know what they're getting, okay? And then another little tip is to make sure you say thank you for visiting, okay? I don't know how many times people have told me, like, it makes such a big difference, you know, when you say thank you for visiting my shop or something like that. When they can see your personality through your description, it makes a big difference, because of course Etsy is all about handmade, so people want to feel like they're getting a personal experience, okay? So make sure you use your descriptions wisely to make them feel like they're right there with you, and you're working hand in hand, okay? So that's the first thing. Work on your description and make that the best that it could possibly be, okay? Okay, guys, the second thing you want to do is price your products to sell, okay? So there's a million different formulas online that says how you should price your products. It's a good starting point to find one of those to use if you have no idea. Honestly, they just didn't work for me. And the products that I was creating, those formulas, what they were telling me to do would have completely blown me out of any sort of competition for my products that I was selling. So I would say, if it works for you, use the formula. If it doesn't, then come up with your own formula. Just make sure you pay yourself for your time, and at least pay yourself minimum wage. I mean, pay yourself what you think you're worth, but at least pay yourself minimum wage. I cannot stress that enough. And you don't want to be the highest price item, and you don't want to be the lowest price item. Okay, and I'll tell you why. You don't want to be the highest price item in a saturated market unless you can, make an argument for why your product is priced so high. And I would definitely put that in the description, all the products that you use that would make your product be the price that it is. So unless you were, like I was selling bonnets, so unless you were using some high price silk or something like that, I wouldn't be the highest price bonnet out there. It's all about competition. And you don't want to be the lowest price either, because 9 times out of 10, if you're the lowest price and you're making a handmade product, you're probably selling yourself short. You know what I mean? Like it's a very fine line, but I liked to price myself somewhere in the middle. I knew for the majority of my products, I knew that based on, my price that I was selling for, that I was going to make a profit. I wasn't selling myself short, and I was really getting a good grip on the competition because I wasn't the highest price either. Okay, so it did take a while for me to kind of figure that out, but that's what you want to do. You want to price yourself somewhere in the middle. Now, I didn't price all my products that way because I did have some products that had extras, they had embellishments on them and stuff like that that cost a little bit more, and it took me a little more time to do. I couldn't just streamline the process with those, so I did charge a little bit more for those, but I mean, you could obviously see why those were a little bit higher, so just make sure that you price your stuff accordingly, you guys. And I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to forget anything. Oh, and then the last thing as far as pricing is to find multiple suppliers. Okay, so when I first started out, I was getting all of my satin and stuff from like Joann's and Hancock's. I don't even know if they have that anymore, or like Hobby Lobby or something like that. And it was, unless I had a coupon or something, it was pretty high, so I had to try some different vendors, some different suppliers. I tried some online, and eventually I got to the sweet spot. I found the perfect vendor with the perfect products. The price was amazing, y'all. Like, I had my price point like boom, like it was crazy. It was so crazy. So check out different suppliers so that you can find the right supplier for you that'll give you the product that you want, so that you can get the price that you need. And then also, you want to make sure you have a backup supplier. You want to make sure you have a backup, because there is nothing worse than you go to your main supplier and they don't have what you need, and then it's like, oh shoot, I can't fill these orders that are coming up. Make sure you have the backup, okay? So that's why I say try other suppliers. So make sure you price your products to sell. That is number 2, okay? Okay, guys, so number 3, when you're dealing with the saturated market, is to do your research. Do your research. You got to stalk the people. Don't act like y'all don't be stalking people online. I know y'all do. Everybody does it. You gotta do your research on who your competition is, okay? So that means you gotta go to their Etsy shop, you gotta go through the listings, all their products, you gotta see what their options are, you gotta make notes. I made notes. You gotta kind of see what their tags they're using. You gotta see how they're labeling their products, their shipping. Look at everything. Your competition, you have to do your research, okay? So get you a little notebook and start going through them shops one by one and say, oh, they did this, I don't do this, I like this, you know what I mean? And you'll find other stuff that maybe they're doing that that you're not doing, and you're like, oh, I should be doing that. Yeah, you probably should. That's how you learn. That's how I learned, because I'm like, I want to be competitive, I want to make some sales, so hey, you got to do what you got to do. So, and everybody does it, you guys. Don't I think it's nothing wrong with it. Everybody does it. So do your research, okay? If they're selling similar products to yours, do your research. If are they selling the same thing, or is it similar? You know, if there's a big difference, and there will be a difference with pricing too. What makes their shop better or worse than yours, okay? If it's worse than yours and you don't see that there's anything there, they're not your competition, you're not going to worry about them, you're going to move on, okay? Pretty simple. And if they're doing something that you should be doing, star it, make you a note, highlight it, and then that goes back to when you go back to your shop and you do your descriptions, that may be something that you want to put in there, okay? So do your research, stalk them, figure it out. That's how everybody does it. That's what you need to get done. And then we're going to get to the good stuff. Okay, guys, so when I started on Etsy, I was doing, I don't even know what I was selling at the beginning, because I was just doing some stuff. But when I started selling bonnets, that's when my business took off, okay? So when I started, there were probably about 5 or 6 different shops that I can remember that were selling on Etsy. It wasn't a big thing, so there was some competition, but it wasn't that bad, okay? So after I started selling for a couple months, then it was like shop after shop started popping up, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? So guys, this is what I did, okay? So I was selling satin bonnets, okay? Easy peasy. So what I did first is I started making different sizes. I saw when I first started out, I think I had like one size or maybe 2 sizes, like an adult size and like a large size. And I started seeing like some baby bonnets popping up, and I was like, oh, okay. So I went from selling like 2 sizes to selling like 5 sizes. So I did like a baby size bonnet, I did a child size, a adult medium, adult large, and adult extra large, okay? And for me, I had to make patterns for all of those, but it's what I did. So it made it easier for me. So it's not like it wasn't something that I had to really take a lot of time to figure out. It just never occurred to me that I could do different sizes. So I went from 2 sizes to 5 sizes, okay? So that one was a big thing right there, because people were like, oh, well, if I'm buying a bonnet for myself, oh, you got baby bonnets, oh, my baby, you know what I mean? And especially if they could match, like, oh my gosh, that was a big thing. So, and then people with like braids and locks and stuff like that, they wanted like the extra large sizes. So it just kind of worked out, and it was a natural progression. So that was one thing that I did that made a big difference, okay? So in terms of your own shop, if you can offer something different that doesn't, you know, change a whole lot of what you're doing, then I would do something like that if you can do different sizes, okay? Then I did different finishes. So then when I started doing like the child sizes, I wasn't just doing all satin bonnets anymore. I started doing cotton and satin bonnets. So they would have cotton on the outside, and it was a cotton print. So I had all sorts of children's prints. So if you went into like Joann's, I literally one day went into Joann's and bought like a yard of every kid's fabric that they had in there. You know, business was booming, y'all, okay? So I bought like a yard of every, so that gave me different options for people. So then it was cotton on the outside and it was satin on the inside. So it was a whole different market, you know what I mean? Like the kids could have their favorite, you know, TV show characters, and the parents would love it, you know? That was something that would help them, like, oh, okay, like they'll wear their bonnet to bed now, you know what I mean? Like it was amazing. And I did boys too. You guys, you'd be surprised, you know, because them little boys, they need their hair protected, you know, and they all can't wear do-rags or whatever. So the parents would be like, can I have Ninja Turtles, or can I have something? Of course, you know. So that's something else that I did. So not only sizes, I started changing the finishes that I did as well, and that really helps. Okay. So then after that, I started doing custom options. So at the time, I made t-shirts as well. So I was using vinyl and screen print and stuff like that. So I want to say one of my customers asked me, it wasn't something that I initially thought about, but one of my customers asked me if I could put their name on it. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I could. So I started using that as an option to add their name to it. And I would use vinyl, I would use my Cricut, I would cut their name out, you know, with the vinyl. And before I sewed it all together, I would, you know, iron that on. And it was another option, you know, it was like a $2 upcharge or something like that to put their name on it, but it was another option, and it gave people something else that they could get that was special, and they loved it. Okay. So then, from there, when I started doing that, I started doing sublimation customs. Okay. So if you guys don't know what sublimation printing is, that's a whole different, you know, whole different thing, but I never thought about using it on my bonnets. It was something that I did separate, you know, as a separate business. So to be able to put those two things together just made a huge impact. So I started doing sublimation printing on the bonnets and doing customs. So you could pretty much send me a picture of yourself, or you and your husband or boyfriend or significant other, and, you know, or your kids or something like that, and I could sublimate it onto your bonnet and do it that way. Or if there wasn't a print that I could find, because at the time, like, I love Poetic Justice, so but I couldn't find no real Poetic Justice fabric or anything like that, so I actually sublimated my own print to make Poetic Justice bonnets, you know. So that was something, you know, it's an option if you're into that field or something like that, you know. There's different options. So it was already the bonnet that I was making, so I didn't have to do anything different with that. But for my other business, I just added that into it, and it made a world of difference. Okay. And then the last thing that I did that made a big difference was wholesale my products. Wholesaling is not for everybody, but like I said, you guys, I found the perfect supplier. My price point was, boom, was where it was at. I could wholesale, and it was the bomb.com. Okay. Like, but that's only if you can manage the supply and the demand for it, and you can get it done. But that was an option for me. So I started wholesaling my products, which is what I do now. So if you want to start a bonnet business, you want to wholesale, or if you're a hairdresser or something like that, and you want custom bonnets, wholesale, let me know. Holla at a sister, okay? But wholesaling my products was something that I did that, you know, completely took my business to a different level. So, you know, what I would say about saturation is you kind of have to think outside the box, okay? You have your product, you know, if you're selling jewelry and, you know, you have a glossy finish to something, try out a matte finish. That's a different option. It gives your clients something else, you know, that they can feel like they're getting. Or if you do something in one color, try it in a different color, you know. You don't have to change the product per se, but change the color. So now you have something different. You just kind of have to think outside the box to figure out what sells, you know. And if you guys want some tips, or you want me to look at something, say, hey, what do you think I can do about this? Let me know, okay? That's what we do, okay? So I hope that helps. I hope you guys like this video, and I'll be back with another one. Let me know what you want to see next, because I kind of have some ideas, but let me know. And I hope this helps. So, like I said last time, as all the cool kids say, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.